99% of AI companies are doomed to fail. I 100% agree with this. I think it's a race to the bottom. The people making money in this are hardware companies. But anyway, let's continue. It's absolutely mind-blowing to see how most AI companies always, always try to compare their models against human productivity, blah, 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 when their biggest competitor is other AI startups. That is obviously true. Their competitors are other AI startups, but, they are trying to compare their models against human productivity because ultimately they're trying to sell their models to other companies. So it makes sense. I don't think that's too crazy. Here's why 90% of them fail. Most AI models will eventually become all-in-one Swiss knife. Again, I don't actually know if I agree with this. The thing is, with an all-in-one Swiss knife model, is it's going to be huge, which means most people won't be able to run it. That might be the case for like an enterprise software, which would definitely then at least provide value. But I actually think what will happen is you're going to have lots of small models that basically anyone can run locally. That's what I'd like to think. So why on earth I would pay some random AI startups model when the models from the big tech can already do the same thing? It makes no sense. Yeah, I think what we're seeing with AI is that it's going to be more like traditional SaaS. I might be completely wrong there, but it's essentially going to be about integrating a client with your AI ecosystem, and then that client pays you a ton of money. But I do agree with this. But there's lots of SaaS software that people pay for, and I think it's going to be the same thing with AI. The key is going to be getting clients rather than just having so you're like B2B. I know B2B is a meme, but that's what I think those will be the ones that survive, I imagine. But even they might just integrate with like Microsoft or whatever. So look at Copilot. It's basically just AI model aggregators at this point, and people still don't want to use them over ChatGPT Pro or Claude Pro or even DeepSeek. It's hilarious. Perplexity, another example, where its use case is to do deep research on the web. To be honest, I thought Perplexity was really cool, but I'll be honest, I barely use it. I still use a lot of ChatGPT, and I think it's purely because it was like the first thing on the market. I do want to try Claude a bit more. I've not really used DeepSeek, if I'm honest. Not really. They recently made an ad with the Squid Game guy to compare Perplexity versus traditional Google search, completely ignoring that fact that ChatGPT Deep Research is their number one competitor, not traditional Google search. Again, I actually disagree with this. Like, yeah, sure, ChatGPT Deep Search is their competitor, but that isn't the thing in the sense that they can do sort of similar things. But really, what they're saying is LLMs are here to replace traditional search engine. So again, I think it's completely makes sense to get people who are using Google search and try and get them to use Perplexity. Again, disagree with that statement. What are we on about? But that's still sort of beside the point. I still think 99% of AI companies are doomed to fail. And to be honest, there's just a lot of rich investors are able to just throw a few million at each company in the hope that some of them survive, and the ones that do survive will probably more than make up their investment anyway. This is like early 2000s all over again, where everybody kept saying search engines will become more popular as more users access the web. Meanwhile, we all know that how it went. Only Google eventually won that search engine war. Yeah, that is true. But I feel like Microsoft was partly to blame for that because they were just trying to do too many things. So let me know what you think on all of that. People have always paid a premium for domain specialization. You can sell a book on how to start a real estate career as a newly single mother for significantly more than how to get into real estate. I think that's a very valid point. Optimizing the UI UX for use case will be paramount. Agreed. And this again goes back to, for me, it being about getting clients for specific use cases and then integrating them into your ecosystem. And a lot of people just get overwhelmed. They don't want to think. They don't want to make decisions. So yeah, I think they're completely right. That again, I think there's going to be lots of small vertical AIs. However, I don't necessarily think that there's going to be lots of AI companies necessarily. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. But look how many people just use like the Microsoft software suite for their companies. So I could imagine something like that where Microsoft has many, many different models, So rather than like Word and PowerPoint and Outlook, I know they're different things, but you can imagine a whole nother menu with smaller models that are kind of good at various things that are cheaper. So people have always paid, because that's the other thing. AI costs, it's like, it costs a lot of money to actually have decent AI. Let's see, keep going. Yep, these AI wrappers are ticking time bomb. I'm sure I read something like, Y Combinator, I think they were saying like their latest batch, they were all significantly using AI in their tech stack. And I don't think that's just like, copying code into your code base. I think it actually was like fully integrated type stuff, which is crazy. Some how many AI companies are out there that are just a wrapper to ChatGPT is basically what I'm saying, although I didn't articulate it very well. I am using a model on one of my apps, and it's really cheap to use, but these AI providers are losing a ridiculous amount of money per day. Do people really think once they finally got enough people on board, they're not going to massively hike the prices up? Of course they will. And this is the thing, like right now, what's happening is that investors are giving these AI companies a bunch of money and they're burning through that money. It really is like the early 2000s with tech companies, Facebook and stuff that were they were not making any money and they were costing money, like hand over fist. PayPal as well, they were giving like $10 away per person or something. It cost them millions, but at least they knew once they hit a critical mass that they would be fine. And I guess that's what these companies are trying to achieve. So right now the consumer's winning. I honestly think it's a race to the bottom because it's software. And I think the only companies that will probably be fine are the ones that are fine without their AI products. So I think Google's not going anywhere. Microsoft isn't going anywhere. ChatGPT, or OpenAI, they might be okay because sort of Altman's relationship with Trump now, I think, or at least the administration, and the fact that they were the first movers and they've got a massive, massive percentage of people using it. Claude will probably be okay. I'm not sure about some of the smaller ones. But yeah, right now it's ridiculously expensive. And that's the other thing. I feel like people will just make smaller models that are free and more lightweight, that are good for specific use cases that people will just be able to download. I don't know. Perplexity versus traditional Google search, completely ignoring the fact that ChatGPT deep search is their number. My personal use is to ask Perplexity quick questions that I know require web searches, then follow-up questions. Exactly. I think the person was completely wrong about saying that Perplexity's... Yeah, I mean, their competitor is ChatGPT as well, and all other models are doing the same thing, but ultimately they want to get some of that Google search market share, which is happening. Personally, I already prefer using LLMs for searching because of what this person just said, like being able to ask a follow-up question. I did not mean to click that. Your title means nothing. 99% of all companies fail. It's the one who pivot that make it. Amazon was a bookseller. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, 99% of all companies do fail. You can't argue with that. So the value is not in AI companies and in models at all. Agreed. The value is, as it always was, solving people's problems. Again, this is kind of goes back to what I'm saying about it's about getting a client and solving their problems, and then hopefully trapping them in your ecosystem. Like it's more effort for them to move elsewhere. So it's going to be like traditional SaaS, where you get a client, who knows, something like HSBC, and then you onboard them onto your software platform and they give you a bunch of money, and then you just continually make your AI solve their problems. That's what it will be. For now, Gen AI solve a problem for search, and search is a big market for more than 300 billion per year of revenue. Yeah, but people want AI to solve real issues, and no, ChatGPT will not be able to integrate AI perfectly to dozens, hundreds, or thousands of use cases with their models. No, because it's too expensive. Like, people don't realize that ChatGPT has, I don't know the number, but it's billions, hundreds of billions of parameters. It's not efficient to use ChatGPT to do like something simple. It's not efficient, which means it costs them money, right? Which means the best thing for them to do is actually to have lots of models, which are more optimized. Because you can't just have a generic chatbot UI and solve everything like that. Like Adobe's integrating image generation into Adobe Workflow. Yeah. And no, Adobe's too expensive. And no, OpenAI can't rewrite and replace all applications in the world to add some Gen AI feature. Let's see, what else have we got? In my opinion, many companies are finding that generative AI is a disappointment, since correct output can never be better than the model. Plus, generative AI produces hallucinations, which means that the user needs to be an expert in the subject area to distinguish. This is true. Like right now, you still need to sort of be... I don't know. There is, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I played some Balatro for the first time, and I was like, oh, I want to build a game like that. And I was in Lua, I was really able to build like almost, not a full game, that's unfair, but like a full prototype of a game in a day using ChatGPT. So it is really good, but then obviously I've been programming for many, many years. And yeah, I guess there was lots of issues throughout, but it's gotten better. I was rambling there. By the way, leave a like if you're still here. When Gen AI creates output beyond the bounds of the model, an expert needs to validate that the output is valid. How can that be useful for non-expert users? The people the management wish to replace. Yeah, true. I mean, this isn't about... I think they've gone off on a tangent a bit there, because this thread, for once, isn't actually about replacing people with AI. In fact, it's actually saying that most models will fail. The root issue is reliability. Let's see. Why do people write such long comments? Can we stop putting here's why? Absolutely hate it. Saw dumbass Eddie from GameSpot several years ago. Let's just ignore that. Isn't the numbers game if business, not AI? Isn't that the numbers game if business, not AI? AI would make companies more successful, not average. 99% of companies are doomed to fail. It has nothing to do with AI. Valid. I think you'll see smaller models, and this is what I'm saying. This is the first person to say this in this thread. I think you'll see smaller models that are niche specific. For example, supply chain management LLM trained on very specific edge case data. Yes, the data, although I don't know, it doesn't have to be like really specific edge case data in my opinion, but it does need to be a niche, narrow model so it's more efficient and cost effective. It has to be cost effective. I mean, right now, the only reason models are cost effective for us is because these companies are dossing millions down the drain. They're not making money. I'm sure it's changed and got more efficient, but Sam Altman literally said 3 months ago, I can't remember, time is going by, that their premium model was losing them money. And that was $200 a month. That's an insane amount of money. You can't, like, I'm not paying that. The data would likely be further trained on company-specific data and labeled with organization jargon. True. I don't know. I do feel like, yeah, true. I think there's definitely room to basically be able to have, like, your LLM, which is still powerful, but also be able to add your own data to it. And, yeah, I'm not sure what tools exist for that right now. This would lead to, I guess that's about like managing context. I think Claude is quite good at being able to add a lot of context. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, this would lead to very specific feature selection as well due to specialized nature of the model. The secret source stuff is a public model simply does not have. It's just your meaningless opinion, no more. Yeah, this is my meaningless opinion. I think they all die out because open source is better. This is not just, it just isn't true. I mean, for us developers, yeah, sure, but if that was the case, open source software would be everywhere. But people pay software companies billions, probably globally trillions, because, you know, they can't be bothered to install LibreOffice or something like that. Who knows? Because you can't run it locally, yeah. This is such like an elitist comment, I think, and it's very naive. Oh, like, sure, open source might be better for you, but most people aren't. Like, I've heard as well, I don't know if this is true, but apparently like the new generation, Gen Z or whatever, or maybe the one after that, apparently they're tech illiterate again, so we'll see how that goes. And you can't run it locally. Yeah, all those people who were like, oh, why don't you just nuke DeepSeek is amazing because you can run it locally. Yeah, you needed $20,000 worth of hardware to be able to actually get it to run effectively, I think. People won't be doing that. I'm not sure on that number, by the way, but it was significant. I'm pretty sure it was over $10,000 worth of hardware. I think it was, yeah, maybe what I said. Yeah, that's true, but this is the exact same thing as pretty much every product in existence. I'm not surprised at all. The reality is it's all about getting a client, like anything. People, the amount of, I've done it myself, we like to develop things as developers, but most of us don't actually have a client. We're just building something that we think solves a problem, but we haven't actually gone and spoken to a person about a problem they've got. And that's actually, there was a post I read, a blog post by someone really cool. I'll try and find it. It was about how Palantir, Peter Thiel's company, they sort of just sent their software engineers to the sites, to the clients they were working with, and they would literally like build the software on site. That's solving and like integrating their software. That's solving problems, like how you should be doing it. You should be talking to people and solving their problems. I mean, I'm a hypocrite, so, you know, don't get me wrong. I would just sit at home writing code for something that no one has asked for, but that's the right way to do it. Not the way I did it, the way Palantir did it. Great point. I hadn't fully considered this other than how so many AI companies are built off of other models. Yeah. Let's see. Y Combinator AI companies. That's probably not going to come up. Let's see. Was it this? I think I've probably got it open on one of my like 3 trillion tabs, but anyway, let's not get distracted. We usually get distracted, don't we? From a financial standpoint, do you think this means that most companies will go bust while there will remain just a few or one dominant company for all things, similar to Google with search engines? The thing with Google is they were just better. And now, you know what, actually? Google was starting to become really terrible, in my opinion. And then they released their Gemini in search, which gave the summaries, and we all know for a while that's terrible. I think they're quite good now. I think it's still a joke that they're unreliable and terrible, and I'm not going to go ahead and say they're reliable, but I have found the last few times I'm using that AI summary comes up, I think it's been pretty good now for about 6 weeks, maybe. Maybe a couple months. Forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so I think, yeah, I'm just going to have to move on as I forgot where I was going with this, but I think the whole search war was just that Microsoft was messing around with too many things. They could have had a competitive search engine probably. That was a whole thing between anyway. I agree that there will be very few foundation model winners, although those few winners will become massive. True. Well, this is like the whole power law. This is why you have like big, state funds from abroad that come in and they will invest in every tech company, because if you put let's say you're putting 5 million in every US AI tech company, 99% of them fail, but one of them will probably go on to be worth, I don't know, a few hundred billion potentially. Which is like, yeah. Let's see. Asianometry did a video about the hard drive sector. Basically, a bunch of companies in the beginning that whittled down to just 3. That's likely where AI is going. I struggle to see how any AI companies, because it's software's so different to hardware. The thing with software is you can sit at home and build a product, right? Which is why so many of us love it. But hardware is slightly different. You need like the resources to be able to do it. With AI, because literally everyone can do it, I do think it becomes this race, literally a race to like nothingness. They all, if I have a model, I'm going to charge slightly less than someone else's model. And like, I just don't see it making money for anyone currently. I could be completely wrong. I actually think the real value in AI would be just keeping it. Obviously, someone's going to release it to the market, but like if you were the only company in the world with AI, that would be the best way to actually make money from it, probably. Asianometry, I'm actually subscribed to them. I need to watch some more of their videos. Hardware is where it's at. You mean late 90s, blah, 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 .com era. Yeah, such models are often heavily censored and have a certain narrative they follow. If you let your creativity loose, you can achieve X. I don't know if they're talking about Grok or I don't know if they're just saying X, like in maths, sort of a generic, you can achieve X or Y instead, or if they're specifically talking about X. The pizza attack problem in a nutshell. I don't know that problem. Crew AI. What's Crew AI? Powerful AI agents across industry and cloud platforms. What's the use case? There are already... Oh lord. Person's written a whole essay. Too long. Once AI agents release fully, you are absolutely correct. I tried Manu's AI agent in the pre-beta and it was so frighteningly good. If you need a specialized tool or model, you'll just be able to tell your agent to make it. Yeah, we're going to have disposable software, like single-use disposable software that you need currently. Like imagine, I just quickly need, that's already the case in fact. Imagine you just need to convert, I don't know, one file into another file format. You can just get an LLM to quickly write you a script, use it, convert it, delete the script. And you'll be able to do that probably anything. It'll be more cool when we have 3D printing and AI mixed together. Oh, I need this. Build me a design, print it instantly. You have a very limited imagination. Yeah, I don't believe at all in this all-in-one Swiss knife. I don't. I can imagine it being like cryptocurrency, you have Ethereum, and then you have a bunch of layers on top, which are more efficient, more specific. I think you could have something like that. You could have an LLM or an AI, which basically tries to determine the best model to use, and then which would again be more lightweight than just a ChatGPT model with hundreds of billions of parameters. And then, so that would choose which LLM to use, and then it would use that. And you can have all these different, have all these different models stacked on top of this this LLM, which determines which one to use. I think that would be a cool idea, to be fair. Given the number of AI startups mushrooming, even 1% is charitably high. People who end their phrase with "here's why" in an attempt to start "here's why." There's no such thing as AI companies. There's just companies. I mean, linguistics. Who cares? Most AI companies or AI solutions are ChatGPT or others with API connections. This is true. And I think this is the article I saw about Y Combinator. A lot of these AI companies are literally just using proper AI companies, where, whatever, ChatGPT with an API in the background. So they're not even doing it themselves. Again, it's just going to get expensive. Current AI is 50% marketing, just like blockchain a few years ago. Yeah. One topic that has not yet been discussed here yet is data privacy and security, and it's very important for companies. True. OpenAI's privacy policy allows them to use customer inputs to train and improve their models. This means sensitive information you share could potentially be incorporated into their system and accessible in some form to future users, meaning you risk exposing confidential information assets. This is true. If you're working for a company, where let's say you're working for a company that needs clearance, you do not put sensitive things into LLMs. I hope you're not doing that. Especially, just don't do that. Like, imagine a few years down the line, because like you can ask an LLM questions about specific like software and I don't know. Companies will pay extra to have their own models, AI environments. Absolutely. Again, this is another comparison to SaaS. This is what a lot of SaaS companies do. They often have to have an entire different, because there's different ways you can shard databases, of course. Some of them require like a completely separate environment. It will be the same with LLMs. They would want none of their data to go anywhere. Look, I'm a doctor, and we have started using an AI assistant that listens to the entire consultation and documents in real time. It saves us a lot of time every day, and the product itself is a good interface on top of a model. Blah, blah, blah. Chatbot AI is the 2020s version of 3D TV. According to this, Copilot and others are not capable of doing some scripting Linux. It's not like Google at all. AI is more like the concept of search, not Google. Google is the winner in search, but there are plenty of businesses that became huge because search became easier to implement. It's like saying Indeed can't be successful because everyone will be using Google Job Search. Google Job Search just seems dodgy. I remember using that a few years ago. It was alright to get like a general gist, but I didn't actually use it to apply for any jobs. Sure, sounds like the dot-com bubble. It's definitely another bubble. Well, I don't think the ramifications will be as big. I don't think it's going to cause it's lower risk already. Anyway, that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out my other channels in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching.